It's just preparing. It'll be ready in a sec.
The beacon.
It's probably Keith's computer. It usually is.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to put yourself on mute.
thanks, Richard. Yeah. Are we okay now, Delia?
Yes, I think we are. We're ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, all. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting, 12th of January 2021. And item 1 on the agenda, to note members' apologies, Delia.
Yes, we've had apologies from Councillor Hume and Councillor Kennedy today.
Right, thank you. Item 2, are there any members' declarations of interest?
No.
No, thank you. Item 3, to approve the minutes of the previous committee meeting, 15th of December. We'll go through one page at a time. Page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. All cleared? Thank you.
Yeah.
Item 4, public speaking time. Do we have any, Delia?
No, we've had no request for anyone to make representations, Chairman.
Okay. So we now go to item 5.1, the application for the Job Centre, Maybrook House, 224 Queensway. Does anyone have any comments to make?
Yeah, I have, Keith.
Yep.
If you remember, when we had the planning for the last one, it was 25 flats, and we turned it down ourselves on overdevelopment, and now they've come back with 26 flats. I see what needs to be done, something done there, but perhaps our comments should be back to Milton Keynes Council. There's too many flats here. Studio apartment, the people now in this pandemic we got, if they're stuck in a studio flat, it's not doing their mental health any good or anything like that. I would prefer to see a smaller amount of flats, but bigger. So I think that should be something that should be looked into, because we're going to have another pandemic in the distant future. Something else is going to crop up, and then people will be living in there, and they could put their mental health at a problem and whatever. I know it's nothing to do with planning mental health, this, that, and the other, but it is overdevelopment on the site. And that's what we turned down on at the last week.
Yeah, play the happy game, Ron. But Delia, you've got a comment for us.
Yeah, just that the town council's argument about overdevelopment wasn't accepted on the last occasion for 25.
No, I know. No.
So I think that shall we just recap? No comment.
No comment.
Okay, thank you. No comment.
Can we just take a vote on that so that I'm just satisfied that everybody's.
Oh yeah, okay. Those in favour of no comment?
Oh, everyone's happy. Sorry, I thought Ron might have wanted to.
Okay. 5.2, 50 Osborne Street, Bletchley. Prior approval notification. So no comment?
No comment.
Okay, that's agreed. Item 5.3, 13 Horwood Court, Bletchley. Change of use. No comment? If anyone's got a comment, please say straight away. Otherwise, we'll take it as no comment. Item 5.4, land off Bletcham Way, Fenny Lock, Bletchley. Any comment? No comment?
No.
Agreed. Right, no comment. Item 5.5, land off Bletcham Way, Fenny Lock again. Details. No comment?
Discharge condition.
Yep.
It's just discharge condition.
5.6, land off Bletcham Way. Discharge of condition 14, surface water drainage. No comment? Okay. Item 5.7, Dobby's Garden Centre, Belvedere Lane, Bow Brickhill. That's not Bow Brickhill, is it?
Not anymore, no.
No. Well, that never was, I don't think. Again, variation of condition. Any comment?
No.
I've read the application, Chairman, and they're just seeking to invest in the site, but won't be selling anything other than what they already sell. But they'll be having pods instead of shops that they're building inside, rather than it all being open. So for me, no major change from what they're doing, just the way it's laid out will be different. So I think it's fine.
Thank you, Ethan. That's helpful. So no comment.
No.
Right. Item 5.8. Land at Rowlands Close, Bletchley. Discharge of condition 3. Boundary treatments. No comment.
It's just finishing off what we've done.
Yep. Item 5.9. 3 Sandringham Place. 6 metre single story rear extension, etc. Any comment?
No problem.
No comment, thank you. Item 5.10, 37 Magenta Close, single story rear extension, etc. Any other comment?
No.
No, okay. 5.11, number 4 Water-Eaton Road, Bletchley, erection of single story rear extension. Any comment?
No.
No, thank you. That's planning finished. Right, item 6. Financial management of information report showing income and expenditure against budget for the year up to the 31st of December. Delia, is there anything you wish to highlight? There's nothing I could see. You're muted, Delia. You're still muted.
Chair, I think
That's it.
the clock's
Spacebar
frozen
isn't
up.
working.
All right.
Space-
Okay.
Spacebar wasn't working. No, nothing I wish to draw attention to, but happy to answer any questions.
Any comments from anyone about it? It looks pretty straightforward, quite honestly. Okay, we're all happy. And that is agreed. Anyone against? That's agreed, Delia. Thank you. Item 7, Council's cash and investment reconciliation. Any comment on that? It looks fairly straightforward. The next one is the deposit account reconciliation. That's the Unitary Trust Bank account. Any information wanted? Any comment? Okay. Then you get the multi-pay card bank reconciliation for December. Again, straightforward, no comment. Agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Then the petty cash bank reconciliation up to December. Agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Then item 8, to note the balance sheet as at the 31st of December. That shows where all the money is held. Any comments? No, thank you. That's agreed. Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Now item 9 is, if I can find it.
I think that's the deferred item, isn't it, Chairman? I think.
Oh,
I mentioned
that's it.
earlier.
Yes. Yeah, that's it is deferred because of the lack of information at the moment. So that will be presented to full council.
Yes, it'll be, instead of being approved tonight, it'll be approved next week on the 19th. It'll be on that agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Delia. Thank you for that. Item 10, to review the budget. There we go. We've got, now this is part of the detail. It actually comes on. We've then got, this is the budget version V4. That's the V4, that's the version 4 that we're dealing with. And you can see that basically the budget exceeds our income by a substantial amount. Now, we've got details later on that we'll go through in substantial detail, depending on what you want to do. So if we move on from that, we've then got the next one is earmark reserves. That is a list of all the earmark reserves that we've made over the years, and also includes our current no, it doesn't, I beg your pardon. That just shows our reserves.
That's just there for reference, Chair. If you decide, if you're deciding you want to use any of the reserves to mitigate any of the, you know, the deficits in the budget. So the first set of papers was a summary budget, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Then you've got the earmark reserve.
Yes.
And then you've got the detailed budget.
And then the next one is the V4, incorporating the changes that were made at full council on the 15th.
Chair, if I may, the summary includes the changes, and the second, so the first document is a summary, then you've got the reserves, and then the third document that you're looking at now is the same as the first one, but it just it gives you all the details line by line. The figures are the same, the overall figures.
Really the summary is just really the last line of each of the code, expenditure code.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And so the major difference where the 15th of December was that we added the wishes of the council that they voted for the well-being. The 3 items on well-being were added to this budget. If we then go on to the report, which is the potential adjustment to the V4, this is really where we get down to the nitty-gritty of what we're going to do. Can I just, before we go on to this, can I just say what extensive work has been done by the staff in producing these documents, and also the work that's been done in producing this. This is, what is it, the 3rd or 4th version, Delia, that we've done, that to try to get to present it to you, so that we can discuss it in substantial detail, and but you must decide now how you want to handle it. What I can do, if that's what you want, I can go through these items, explaining what we have done and how, and the savings that have got to be made to meet our budget. But it's up to you to decide how you would like to do it. Anyone got any comments?
Not at this time.
No? Well,
Chairman, can I propose that we discuss, the report's been set out really well and talks about the treatment of exceptional items and then a potential adjustments. Can I propose that we discuss each one of these separately?
Yes, indeed. Yep. Right. Can we then go to the first set, which is the treatment of exceptional items? What I'm trying to look at here is that some of the COVID pandemic has placed a strain on some of the facilities that we try to run, and there are 3 primarily, two pandemic, 1 accidental, if you like. The first one is George Street. There is a cost to the council of £38,900 next year. This is because there are ongoing costs and very, very low income because of the lettability of the facility. The second one is Queensway, the old offices, which the tenant's business failed, and therefore we're left with a vacant building, and that is going to cost £56,330 next year. And the third one is Newton Lees, which is similar to the problem at George Street, which is where the income is down, but some of the fixed costs are continuing. Now, I tried to suggest that those three items hopefully could be one-off items or are certainly exceptional, and therefore could, if that's what you wish, be taken out of the budget deficit, and they total £116,680. Now, that, if that is what you want to do, that would have to be taken out of reserves. Now, that equates to approximately half of our general reserve. So that you may wish to bear that in mind to see how many savings you can do. Right, Ethan, did you want to come in on that point?
Yeah, so Chairman, I think with regards to George Street and Newton Lees Pavilion, first let's start on Newton Lees Pavilion. Newton Lees Pavilion has been trading really successfully up until the point of the pandemic, and obviously I think that this is a short-term issue. Hopefully things will be returning to normal later this year as more people get vaccinated, and we will see a return to kind of the high levels of business that we've been doing here. It's an excellent venue, it's in really good condition, and I think that we should continue to be trading well there. With regards to George Street, this is something has now reverted to the council. I think that we need to be making some investments into that site to actually bring new life and new things in. So for me, these two items are exceptional, and definitely I think that these are two centres that we want to protect. And with regard to the third item, to Queensway, I think that we took the decision to move into the library to safeguard the library being, staying within Bletchley. We had no knowledge when we entered into Austin, the lease with Austin Ray. We took all the due diligence that we needed to take, but we had no idea that that company would be acting in a really in the way that they did, which ended up in their closure by the Solicitors Regulatory Authority. And you would think that you could trust a legal organisation. So I just think that this is something that we have to accept. It's unlikely that we are going to be able to find a new tenant in the short term, and I think that that's something that we need to also meet from reserves. Yeah.
Right.
So I think what I'm saying in total is we need to treat these items as exceptional items and not let it impact the revenue budget.
Right. Any other comments coming through?
Yeah,
Richard?
I concur with what Councillor Eaton has said. The Queensway office is something that we may have to look at to see what we will be doing about them premises, whether we find out what our options are in respect of coming out of the lease down there.
Okay. So are we, can we accept that we, as it sits at the moment, we'll come to the final arrangement at the end, but it sits at the moment as we treat these as exceptional items? Yeah. Is that the general feeling of the Finance Committee?
Yeah.
Is there anyone opposed to that view? Okay, so let's move on. One thing I did forget to mention is that the total deficit this next year is £207,500, which is 29% of our precept. Now we can't live with that, so hence what we've got to start looking at at savings within the budget. Now, did you now want to go on to the potential adjustments to the budget? Is that the way you want to deal with it? Which is the next item, or the next section of the spreadsheet that Delia has prepared. Is that?
Chairman, can I also speak to this one, please?
Yeah, certainly.
Before we go through the detail. And I think that for the right reasons, so with regards to well-being, we added nearly £40,000 to the budget at the last meeting. Now, one of them, the free swimming, I'm not in favour of, but the other items for well-being, I am. And I think that perhaps we were a bit remiss at that meeting. I think that a starting point for any additions to the budget must be that if there is no room in the budget, then we automatically start in a position that we are adding to that this is something that needs to be precepted for, and so that should be our starting position when we're agreeing anything. And of course, we can come back and see if we can take things out of the budget or remove things. But I think that when councillors are making those decisions to add things to the budget, they need to do so on the basis that they're adding to the precept.
So are you saying then, Ethan, that if we can't balance the books with by leaving the well-being in, that we should increase the precept to?
I am doing so, but I'm also proposing, Chair, that for any other items that we end up, which have financial implication going forward, I think that this finance committee needs to recommend to full council that not that we will look at surpluses to fund items, but we will start in the position that we are adding to the precepts, because what actually happens if you kind of rely on the surplus or it coming out of reserve is at some point you run out of that, and you end up in a situation where we're going to be next year where we've actually been hit twice. We've been hit twice because we've had a loss of income from our properties because of the pandemic, and then we're also having this thing that's not been precepted for before, and so obviously there's no money to fund that item.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Yeah. We'll carry on. Anyone else want to come in at this stage? Because I then intend to go through all the savings that are listed here. Anything, Richard?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Right. What I've done with the listings that you see now on the part 2 of this spreadsheet is that the staff team have gone through all these items again, I think for the second, third or fourth time as a team, to see where they can adjust the budgets and help in the reduction process. And there is a list within that table 2 totaling £28,100. Now, I can go through each of those items so that everyone has all the information that I have. Okay. Right. The first one is councillor training, a reduction of £1,000. Dog bin purchases, saving of £2,000. You'll see that there's the supply of bins are already held. Community engagement, a reduction of £8,000. Website stroke social media, £2,000 saving. Albert Street toilets water, £1,000. Legal fees can be reduced by £2,000. Payroll admin costs by £200. Someone want to come in? No? Okay. Staff travel costs, £250. Portable appliances testing, £150. World pay, 500. Stationery, 7,000. General insurance, 1,000. Vehicle insurance, 500. Newton Lee's equipment maintenance, 500. Security, 2,000. That makes a saving of £28,100. Now that was all the, if you like, the painless items that were found by the staff during their team meetings. And now none of those items need a decision by members. They are purely financial arrangements and costings within our overall budgets. You then get 3 more, which are listed in here, which is council support services, general maintenance, £500. Sorry, these are additions. They've also gone through and they found out where the budget isn't sufficient. So they've added these back in, which is council support services, general maintenance, £500. Council fuel for the council vehicle, £500. And Newton Lee's health and safety visit, £200. So it reduces the overall savings to £26,900. Now, the next section is savings requiring a member's decisions on service provision. And these are proposed by me. And this is where you may well take a different position. The reductions are as follows, and they're all listed in this table 2. Community grants.
Sorry, what page number are we on?
Sorry?
What page is it on?
We are on, well, we're on page 15, 16 and 17. It's the 3 tables. It's the table that starts off potential adjustments to V4 of the Bletchley Fen Stratford Town Council. Have you got it? It's
No,
the
I
one
meant
with the green lines through it.
All right, don't worry.
Got it?
No, it's fine. Don't worry. Carry on.
It's part of, it's the agenda. Well, it's item 10 on the agenda.
I loads of figures. I don't know what one you're on.
Well, no, we'll wait.
On my, it comes up on mine like 102, 103, 104.
Yeah.
I'm going through.
115 is the middle of that
right.
document. Yeah, and it's got greens. It was a late paper. It was added this afternoon. So if you haven't refreshed your pack, it might not be there. I did send an email out, but it's page 114, 116 and 117, and it's got green stripes in it. So that might help you identify it. Brilliant.
Yes.
Marie,
Thanks,
have you
Sorry.
have you got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Okay. Now, so are you're okay now?
Yeah.
You're up with us? Okay. Right. The first one is community grants, reduction of £5,000. Planters, 1,000. Bandstand, 5,000. Christmas event, 5,000. George Street cleansing, 3,000. Utilities, 2,000, and maintenance, 2,000. Climate change initiative, 5,000. And Newton Longville Pavilion utilities, 2,000. That makes a total of £30,000, additional £30,000 savings. Those two together still aren't sufficient to meet our budget deficit. So you then look at the next lot, which is extra savings. And there are 3. One is the remove the remainder of the Christmas event, £12,000. Climate change, the remainder of the climate change initiative, £5,000. And the stopping of one member of additional staff, agreed by HR last week, a saving of 25,000. Those three items. Someone coming in, right? That's an additional saving.
Chairman, we've got a great deal of interference and a lot of background noise. I think if everybody could mute if they're not speaking, it would be really helpful, because I can hear it and I'm sure it's on the recording.
Right. Can you mute yourselves? It's Eamon, Ron, and Marie. Is that better, Delia? Is that better?
Not really. I think it might be from your computer, Chair.
Oh.
But we can't do anything about that. We'll have to carry on. We'll carry on with that.
I'll apologise now, Pete. So right. Those extra savings add up to £42,000. Now, if you add that lot together, which is the staff team, 26,900, the chairs savings, my savings of 30,000, and the extra savings of 42,000, that gives you £98,900. That still leaves money of £108,600 from reserves. Now, if that's what you want to recommend to full council, the point that I would make now is that is half, almost approximately half of your general reserve. So if it went on for a second year, you'd have no reserves at all. That's the scale of the problem we're facing. If you don't, and that also assumes that all the well-being, Ethan, all the well-being items from the council meeting come out. That's the £39,300 comes out. So there's no swimming, no other works that you've got, and we are still short, taking all that lot out, by £108,000. If you want to put stuff back in, you've got to take something else out, and you may well decide that taking that amount of money out of reserves is too high. Now, that's me finished. I'll now throw it open to those that want to come in. Right, Richard.
Is there any way that we can make these savings plus think about putting up the precept a little bit? I know that council wasn't happy about putting up the precept because of the COVID-19 situation and the fact that we haven't put any sort of like things on. The fact that, you know, we've all been on lockdown right now, so the council really haven't, apart from sorting out what they've had to sort out. Is there any way that we can balance it by putting a slight increase on the precept in conjunction with the savings that you've recommended? Is it?
You can, Richard. Yeah, you can. It can be done. Ethan.
Chairman, I think the elephant in the room here is that we spend 5% of our budget on Albert Street toilets. It's unsustainable, and I'm concerned that this is a situation which is only likely to increase in the future. I think if the local businesses in Bletchley want to have public toilets, so let me wind back. The councils everywhere have closed public toilets, including in Milton Keynes. This council stepped in to save the toilets. They would have been closed if it was not for this town council. Nobody supports these toilets other than us. We get a token £1,000 from West Bletchley Council, and nobody in the high street contributes to the opening of these toilets. I think that we have to say that if we cannot get 50% of the cost of these toilets or something to that order from local businesses or people who are actually using them, or who are opening cafes but not providing any toilets on site for their own customers, but suggesting that people go and use the public toilets at the cost of the council. This council gets no income from business rates. It only gets income from council tax, or a share of the council tax, which it presets for. So if we can't get some money, some further income for the toilets, I think we've got to close them.
I agree.
Who said they agreed?
Eamon.
Eamon, okay. Right. I'm just looking through, I'm not ignoring you, Ethan or Eamon. I'm just looking through the budget to see what the cost of the toilets. Oh, here we are. It's £40,000. Who can? Ron. Oh, sorry, Delia first.
Yes, Chair, if I can just say, it is £40,000 on the budget, but what I would ask members to remember is that all these costs do not include staff costs. And the staff costs for the toilets are very high. The rangers visit the toilets at least twice a day. It takes an immense amount of our time to look after the toilets, because we receive many complaints from members of the community if the toilets are closed. Unfortunately, we've suffered an awful lot of criminal damage and vandalism, and also inappropriate behaviour in the toilets over the past few years. I mean, no different from anything that's happened in the past, but I think that cost of £41,000 is actually, you know, if we did an exercise whereby we recorded the time that is spent by officers, you would be shocked by how much time is spent on looking after the toilets. Having said that, I am very concerned about stopping the toilets dead without any sort of public consultation and an opportunity to an opportunity to try and generate more revenue, or explore alternative provision of public toilets in Bletchley. We know that as a service, it is very much valued. We know that the usage of the public toilets is high. We get complaints if ever they're closed, even for a short time during a day. So I would caution the council against stopping this just without any form of public consultation or exploration of alternative provision. The second point I wanted to make is that the toilets don't belong to us. The building belongs to Milton Keynes Council, and it's leased to us on a peppercorn rent, and we have to maintain the building. And later on in the agenda, there's a quote for some work to be done to the toilets. And I think there are likely to be significant maintenance issues with that building going forward. Although we've done quite a bit to the roof and we've done decorating, going forward in the future, and there are these repairs that are on the agenda tonight for you to consider, but the ladies needs a real revamp. It needs redecorating. There's a lot of work to do in the toilets, and so I do think this is a very significant issue for you to be thinking about, and there's a lot of elements to it to consider.
May I come back on that, please, Chairman?
Well, can I just, Ron wanted to come in first. Ron, then we'll come back to you, Ethan.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay, Chief?
Yep.
Yeah, oh, great. A lot of people do use the toilets, and I notice the bus drivers, they use it, and they contribute nothing to it, and they use it as much as a lot of other people. And as Ethan said, you know, people have not got toilets in their buildings, and they send them to the public one. And it's a major need in this town with the people that are using it. But I feel that West Bletchley should contribute more, because there's a lot of people in West Bletchley that use it, and also the bus company. I think we should be looking at saying to people, we've got to get some money in, and as Delia said, do a consultation, because you might find money coming from somewhere else anyway that we don't expect. But I believe public toilets is a must in any place. You know, I've always believed that. You know, I won't go anywhere if I know I can't go to the toilet. You know, even now I go to the city and come straight back, because there's only one toilet to be used over there. And you know, so I believe the public toilets are a must in any town. Our towns have shut them down, and got away with it. I don't know. They're not a legal requirement. I know that, but I believe they're a must in most towns. And I know there is a toilet in the Agora as well that people nip into when they're in trouble down the other end of town. But maybe if the co-op opens, I believe they were going to put a toilet in there, you know. So, and the vandalism is something that you can't put cameras in to stop, but the vandalism is terrible in there. I know that myself because I often walk in there just to have a look, you know. So I think, you know, we should be looking for money from other people to help us out with this. Right, you lose it.
Right.
Know.
Yep. Anyone else want to come in on? Richard?
I think, Chairman, I think you said that Ethan could come back.
Sorry, I did. I'm just going to stop you, Richard. Yeah, Ethan, my
Sorry, I was
apologies.
just going to say, I agree with everything that the clerk said about consultation with residents. I think just to come back on some of the things that both Ron and Delia have said, we talk about this every year, and actually we get no more money out of anyone with regards to it. And I think that this council just takes it on the chin and pays for it. You know, I think I'm going to start with this 40,000 as a starting point for these toilets, and just guess that, you know, that we are spending in employee time somewhere between a further 10 and 20,000 pounds a year on dealing with the toilet. So 60k a year, which is more than 5% of our budget. It's I just think it's too much. We'd be better off looking at, you know, one of those self-cleaning street furniture toilets and putting it in Queensway. And yes, it would be a big capital outlay, but we might not have the costs that we're going to have. And I find that the maintenance costs that are coming up on top of what we're already paying a bit disturbing. So I think, yeah, I am certainly not saying let's close it today, but I think that we need to be consulting with residents and actually doing something about it and saying the reasons that we're going to have to close it. And, you know, frankly, if the local community in Bletchley want it, then there needs to be some alternative support because it is unsustainable.
Okay, Eamon?
Yeah. Could we make an announcement that we're going to close it, say in 8 weeks' time, give the reasons why, do it online, put it in the local press, and if that stirs up interest, then perhaps we could ask people to put a few more bob in. You know, people of West Bletchley might get the raging ump over it and get onto their council and say, why aren't we paying some money towards it? But I think you just got to make an announcement. The toilets will be closing on such and such a date. Give the reasons why and leave it at that.
Okay, Richard, I'm sorry, I did say you were going to go. Off you go.
That's fine. I agree with everybody, you know, but whilst we're doing what we say we're going to be doing with consultations, and we still have to do the budget. It's not sustainable in its present form. We still need to do the budget. We still need to allocate money whilst we're doing what we say we're going to be doing with the consultation and everything. We still need to do this budget. We still need to allocate money, and we still got all the repairs and everything else to do. Do you know what I mean? So we still have to make a decision one way or another whether we're going to support opening the toilets in its current form and allocate the money into next year's budget whilst we're doing what we say we're going to do. So is it sustainable moving forward? Are we, and have we getting any money from anywhere else over the years? No one else has contributed. We've never had anybody sort of like come and say, look, we're going to help you with the toilets. I just can't see it happening myself. Do you know what I mean? You know, but yes, you've got to do a consultation. But my thing is that we still, right here, right now, as a council, we still have to agree to putting money into the toilets.
Well, I must disagree with you, Richard. The point is that we've got to recommend to council a budget, and now you've got to make a decision whether you're going to add leave the 40,000 in or take it out. Now it's one of the options you may choose is to say yes, we'll close the toilets, and that will pay for almost exactly the well-being exercise. So so what you in fact to go to consultation is you give them, the public, our ratepayers, a choice. You either have the well-being issues, the three of them, or you have the public toilets. You can't have both. That's really what we're saying at the moment. Delia.
Can I just make a point about the well-being? I understand the concerns about the fact that that budget was added to those services were approved by council in December and have therefore been added to the budget for next year. But I would say to you as members, there is no new information on the table tonight, really, that wasn't available to you on the 15th of December. And that was when the council resolved, with full information in front of it, including all the financial costs, resolved to provide these services. And that's been announced to the public. And that decision was made by members in full council. I think it's very difficult to overturn a decision that was properly made by a large majority of council, if not, I mean, I can't remember exactly how many, but it was a very, very, I know that there was some opposition to the swimming, but the counselling, there was very little opposition to, and the council made those decisions. There is no new information in front of you tonight. You've been looking at the budget since October. So I think it's quite difficult to explain to the community why that decision is being made now. And please bear in mind that these decisions that you make and that you recommend to full council will need to be justified to full council and then subsequently justified to the community.
Delia, I agree with your point. Sorry, Chair. I agree with your point. And that is why I said, because I think that a number of people on full council were involved in making that decision. Some of them don't attend finance committee or are not members of the committee, and some of them are. But I think that if we have a policy which goes to full council, which states that anything that you add will result in an addition to the precept, and then we can look at how we bring that back, we don't get into this mess in the first place, because I think that people on that day were going, it's okay, we've got reserves, let's spend the reserves. What they're not looking at is the recurrent nature of the spend, and that by spending reserves, you just end up eroding your reserves and not having anything to support the ongoing cost. And then you have to have a massive hike in your precept to pay for that gap.
Can I just say that if you add back in the well-being items, your deficit goes to £148,000. It's unsustainable. You cannot run a council where you will run out of reserves, your general reserve, within 2 years. You can't do it. Well, you can do it. It won't be. I certainly wouldn't be part of it. But we've got to make a choice here of where the cuts, the savings that have been discussed and brought up tonight go some way to meeting the deficit. But that includes the well-being comes out. It's been suggested possibly that we could also close the toilets. That in fact reduces our deficit down to about £68,000. It's still a lot of money, but it's a more manageable figure. But that's taking out toilets and well-being. Delia.
Chairman.
Wait a minute, Delia, then you.
I'm happy to wait, Chair. I'm happy to wait for a member.
I was going to put a proposal, Delia, so if there's anything that you wanted to say.
Well, I just wanted to say that there are other items that weren't included in Councillor Ely's proposals that are identified. For example, with the regard to, he mentioned the community engagement events, and I would like to clarify that I did not recommend that the community engagement budget was cut by 8,000, leaving £2,000 in. What I think we said as a staff team was that there was only £1,000 committed, in the sense that we know we'll want to do the Remembrance Sunday event, whatever, and if that's done in the normal way, i.e. non-COVID way, that costs approximately £1,000, and we'd put another 1,000 in for possibly some other small event. So I didn't recommend reducing that by 8,000. I said that was the contractual commitment to it, you know, that was the council's agreed commitment. The website and social media, we've tried to reduce, and there's two areas that haven't been looked at because I didn't put in a particular recommendation, and that's the printed newsletter, distribution of the printed newsletter, and there's 17,000 there if you decide not to reintroduce that or reduce the funding for that. There's also the Christmas lights. We're out of contract now. The Christmas lights, we're due to go out to tender. 31,100 on Christmas lights. We know that we've got structural issues with putting up the Christmas lights, and we had real problems this year. Yeah, that is another opportunity which this committee hasn't discussed. It's another one. The market will run at a loss this year for the first time. And again, the figures on the market don't have, you know, none of these figures take account of staff costs. The market's very, even with only 3 or 4 traders, the market takes up quite a bit of staff time. So there are other options to look at which aren't included in Councillor Ely's proposal, but which I would like to draw your attention to. Another one is the Citizens Advice Service. We've been spending £8,000 a year on that for a face-to-face service. We don't have a contractual obligation to continue. Citizens Advice have contacted me actually this afternoon with an alternative proposal, which is for a remote service rather than a service-based face-to-face at Spotlight, which is all they think they're likely to be able to do in the year ahead. And they've put forward a proposal for which would cost approximately £6,000. Now, I only received that at about 5 o'clock today, so obviously that's not on the agenda or included in the papers, but that's another area for cuts. None of these things, I don't say that any of these things, I'm not advocating that any of these should be cut. These are decisions for you, but I do feel that you should be exploring them all as they are on the spreadsheet. And the thing that would help me the most to work through this would be if we actually ran through it line by line and you voted on these individual proposals for adjustments, because I need to be clear. I understand from what Councillor Ely said that there's a proposal for £26,900 worth of cuts, which are cuts that we as officers feel that we can make from the existing running costs. And if you're happy with those, then that's fine. That can be resolved in one resolution. But with the rest, I would really find it helpful if we could go through and just look at the individual ones and see whether you want to make those cuts or not. I would just propose that would be easiest for me. It may not be the easiest for the committee, and obviously I'm in your hands, Chair.
Is that what members wish to do? I think a line by line is helpful. Yes, Ron.
Yeah, prior to what was said earlier, I don't believe we can say to the people, well, you can either have well-being or you can have toilets. If we want to do away with the toilets, then we tell the people why we need to do away with the toilets and what they think and where can we get some money from. But as Delia said, the well-being was put through from full council, whether they're on this committee or whether they're not. They had a right to their opinion, and they had all the stuff in front of them, and they put their hands up in the way they felt they should do. So I don't feel that the well-being should even be tampered with, because some of it may not be used, and it may not cost us anything, because this is just a shot in the dark at the moment, because this is something new to us. So it could be just a shot in the dark. I mean, the free swim, you wouldn't be paying a penny because they're shut at the moment, but next year it may increase. You don't know. It's all a shot in the dark at the moment. You know, so I think by saying to people, well, you can have this or you can have that is a wrong way, totally wrong way to go. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, right. Thank you, Ron. Right. So the number one, treatment of exceptional items. The 3 items, are we agreed that they are considered to be exceptional items and should be taken out of reserves? Is there a seconder for that? Yeah, Ethan?
Is that in its entirety, Chair?
Yeah, the 3 items
In their entirety.
in their entirety. Is that the wish of the committee, the finance? Those in favour?
I thought we was doing one at a time. Sorry. No?
Right. Number 1, George Street. Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? Against? Right, that's agreed. Number 2, Queensway. Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? 1. That's carried. Number 3, Newton Lees Pavilion. 21,000. Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? 1. That's carried.
Okay.
So all 3 are through. Now we go to item table 2, potential adjustments to budget. Line by line, community grants, saving of 5,000. Those in favour?
That's carried, Chair.
Right.
I mean, you might want to give people the chance to vote against or abstain. I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Those against? Those abstain? Right. Councillor training, saving of £1,000. Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? That's carried.
Just
Planters, saving of £1,000. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Dog bin purchases, reduction of £2,000. Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? That's carried.
I'm the only one.
Eh?
It's all right, carry on.
Senior Youth Club.
Chairman, again, that was, there isn't a contractual obligation there. So it's just, that's included in the list simply because there's no continuing contractual obligation. There's an expectation, I think, that we will carry on with the current provider, but there's no formal written contractual.
And I propose that we do not reduce.
But hang on, we're doing it line by line. I'll ask again, those in favour?
Of no reduction.
There isn't a proposal there. It was just identified as an area for you to consider.
But the members can want to do it line by line, and this is part of the process.
Well, I think that's what I think.
There's no one wanted it, so it's rejected.
No one wants to make any change to it.
So it's rejected.
No. Yeah.
So it's 112 rejected. Bandstand performances, saving of £5,000. Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? That's unanimous. Community engagement events, saving of £8,000. Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? 1. That's carried. Website, social media, so saving of £2,000. Those in favour? Unanimous. Station newsletter.
Chair, with that one, that's part of the. It might be better to leave that item for later consideration because we have got a report going to full council next week on the council's communication strategy. So it might be that you'd like to receive that report before you make a final decision on the communications budget.
Well, this committee can make a recommendation to council and they can overturn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out there'll be
Yeah.
further information.
Okay.
That's all. Entirely up to you.
And I'll link the newsletter with the distribution. That's £17,000 saving. Those in favour?
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're doing, Chair, because there's no
We're doing it all
proposal on
together.
there. It's just saying those are the costs. What are you suggesting? What are people voting for? To leave the costs the same or to remove them?
Those in favour of removing those £17,000 from the budget. Those in favour?
What? Sorry, are we on the Christmas?
No,
We're on the newsletter and distribution. The 12,000 and the 5,000. Those in favour of removing it from the budget?
Got to be determined. There's nothing been determined yet, has there?
no.
Well, in other words, it can be left in and the council can determine it at their next meeting. So
Yeah.
it's, as far as we're concerned, it stays in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our recommendation.
Thank you.
Christmas lights, £31,000. Those in favour of removing it from the budget? 1. Those against? That's carried. So that stays. Christmas event.
Sorry, Chair, I did want to speak on that when you was going through it. Was
Go on
it to
then.
remove the 5,000 or to remove it completely is what I wanted to know what we're voting on.
Yeah, well, I'm going to come to that. In other words, the Christmas event to save £5,000. It leaves 12,620 in the budget for the Christmas event. So we've got the Christmas lights have been left in. So this is the Christmas light event itself. This is the performances and the other arrangements that we come to. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah, we're still not understanding. Are we voting for it to be minus 5,000 or we're voting for it to be completely removed? There's two things there.
Well, the removal of £5,000.
That's what we're voting on, right?
That's what we're voting on.
Oh, okay.
So those in favour of removing £5,000 from the budget
From the event.
from the event. Those against?
That was 5
Two.
in favour and 2 against.
Yeah,
I
so that's
think.
carried. So we remove £5,000. That's all. Albert Street toilets. This is the removal of £41,210 from the budget. In other words, closing the toilets. Those in favour?
Chair, would you take an amendment on this one?
Yep.
I would like to amend that, propose an amendment that we recommend to full council that we put 6 months of the cost in the budget, which will give us 6 months to actually go through a consultation process with local residents and businesses and look for opportunities to do to keep them. And if we can't and it's still unsustainable, then that's what we do. So I think the points that have been made about consultation are really important ones.
Right. Do you have a seconder for that?
I'll second that, Keith.
Richard?
I'll second that. Ron.
Okay, Ron. Richard?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Okay.
That, yeah.
Right. So will we reduce the budget by 20,500? Is that it?
By 50%, yeah.
Yep. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Right. The next one is Albert Street toilets water, saving of £1,000. Those in favour? That's unanimous. George Street cleansing. Removal of £3,000 from the cleansing budget, leaving £5,000 in. Those in favour? That's unanimous. George Street utilities, removal of £2,000 from the budget. Those in favour? That's unanimous. George Street maintenance, removal of £2,000 from the budget, leaving 10,000. Those in favour?
Chairman,
Yes.
I was just going to say, I think that with the maintenance of this, I'm not sure. I think they need some investment, which should actually come from reserves. Is this something that we could actually, the first year's maintenance, we could actually come from our reserves for George Street, because there's going to be a big expenditure on it anyway.
We just remind, we've got £40,000 in earmarked reserves for George Street.
Yes, and we've also got a building reserve, haven't we? We've also got a property reserve. So yeah,
without spending that money, we've got the reserve money
Yeah.
sitting alongside. So we've got that money, Ethan.
So I propose that we remove the £12,000 from the budget. 4084585.
Really?
Yeah, because it should be paid for from reserves this year.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. And you're talking about taking earmarked reserves instead.
So I think we've got a maintenance reserve for our properties, and we've also got a George Street reserve.
Yeah.
And so I think that we would be, we should be spending those reserves on bringing that property up to scratch before we start paying from revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the proposal then.
Chairman, I think Councillor Graham wanted to speak.
Oh, do be right, Richard.
Yeah, I was going to say, that I second Councillor proposal.
Thank you, Richard. Those in favour of removing £12,000, all of the budget for George Street maintenance? Unanimous. Next one is legal fees, reducing the budget by £2,000, leaving £3,000. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Citizen advice, £8,000. We didn't discuss this very much. Does anyone want to?
Can I speak?
Yeah, Richard.
I do think that citizens' advice, no matter what, is a key service for our parish. I do think we should have some services of some description, considering COVID-19 and people in their positions. They're still going to need some sort of advice, and I think that as a council, we should be providing some sort of service to our residents.
Right. Any other comment we've got on this? Ron? Sorry, Ron first, then Delia. Ron?
Yeah, I agree with Richard. And as Delia said, it may be cut down by itself anyway if they go remotely. So I feel we should leave that in and then see what happens over the year, because obviously if it goes remotely, it'll be a lot less anyway. So,
well, yeah, I agree with you, Councillor Hayne. It will be less. We're not actually paying anything at the moment. And that, as I say, we've had a proposal, and the proposal is for a cost of £6,000. So I think you could reduce that by 2,000 if you were so minded, on the basis that you'll either go ahead or not with the proposal that's been put forward for, at a cost of £6,000 per year, or you can leave it at 8,000. It's up to you.
Well, shall we leave it at £8,000, Ethan?
I would agree with that, Chairman, because what we don't want is a jump up if and when things return back to normal.
So the proposal is that, well, I'll propose that the £8,000 is left in for citizen advice.
Okay.
Second, thank you. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Climate change initiative. A reduction of £5,000. Now, Ethan, going on your previous idea, we have got in earmark reserves, climate change, £50,000. That hasn't been spent yet.
I think that we should be doing this from reserves if we've earmarked a reserve, and I think it was, it was a good idea to do that in the first place.
So we're saying budget 412, remove £10,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second that. Those in favour of removing £10,000 from the climate change budget. Those in favour. That's unanimous. Thank you. Well-being. Remove the whole of the budget, £39,300.
Chairman,
yep.
I propose that this goes back to council with no change. However, we go back with the policy that I proposed earlier, which is, as this was not budgeted for, it needs to be precepted for. So your decision, if we we will be putting the precept up if we provide these services.
Is there a seconder for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor O'Rourke.
Do we know how much that will cost?
39,300.
No, I was thinking on the precept, Ethan.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'll try and work it out while you're talking, Chair.
Right. That doesn't work out. Right, does anyone want to come in on a comment on that one? On the well-being? As you know, I'm not in favour of it at all. I would like to see it out, but Ethan?
Chairman, I was in favour of the counselling. I think that I wasn't in favour of the swimming, and I don't think I could be persuaded otherwise. We have got quite a large unallocated budget within that line of £15,000, and so I think we've got a range of options. We either can say that we recommend it all comes out. We could have a £15,000 saving by proposing to remove the unallocated budget, and we could have a discussion around the counselling service and the swimming decision that has been made and what that does for the precept.
Right. Any other comments anyone's got?
No. I think that the unallocated, the 15,000 for the unconfirmed stuff we can take out, because until such times as we've got something that we're definitely going to pin down and allocate money to, until such times, then we allocate money. But I know that people want to just put money into a budget just in case of, but right now we've got to look at really some big savings here. Do you know what I mean? So.
Right. We've got.
I mean. Also, I'm like Ethan. I'm not happy with the free swimming side of things. I mean, that's something where we as a council decided to take out free swimming some time ago because of the company that was running it and the service that they were providing for us as a council. And I understand it's the same company that's still running it under a different name. So, I'm not happy about that at all.
Okay. I'm trying to read the flavor. Marie.
Sorry, I'm just a bit confused. If full council's already agreed to both of these things, surely you can't overturn it, can we? I'm not understanding.
If what we're doing, Marie, is we're making a recommendation.
On the money side, yeah.
We're making a recommendation to full council, and it's for the full council then to either accept our recommendation or to put it back in. Delia.
It is, standing orders do say that you can't revisit a decision that you've made within 6 months of that decision having been made, unless there's substantial new information. There isn't substantial new information, so the decision should not stand. Should stand. So that's the general principle.
Yeah, I think also, is it not the case also, Delia, that the council can suspend standing orders to reconsider their items?
Yes. Yes.
So if the council next week chooses to suspend their standing orders, they can change that decision.
Yes, they can. But what I would say, which is what you would expect me to say, is that the standing orders are there for a purpose.
Yep.
That is not a standing order that is written into legislation, but it is there for good practice, because that is the way that decision making should follow. That decision making should be made, decisions should be made, the public should be notified via the minutes and be aware, and decisions shouldn't be overturned willy-nilly without any alternative. Now, you may feel as a council that you have such a challenging situation in front of you that it's appropriate to suspend standing orders, and that's a decision for you.
I think we should go with what Richard said about the unconfirmed bit and just keep, as we've agreed to the other 2 staff.
Agreed to all of it.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 items in there making up the 39,300. To move things forward, do you want to vote on each of the 3 items separately, whether you put it into the budget or take it out? My view is, I as you know, within my proposals, I took the lot out. Ron?
I don't feel we could vote on all 3 of them, because as it was only put in a few weeks back, you know, we should have to remove standing orders to change it. Of course, it's gone out to the public now and under the minutes that it was put in and it was agreed upon. So therefore, I don't feel we as a committee have got the right to change it. It must go back to full council for them to, and for you as chair to recommend, say, well, perhaps we haven't got enough money, or perhaps later, or something later as that, because I don't feel that we can do this. You know, I don't think it's not the right thing to do. I'm sorry, but that's my feelings.
Okay, Ron, fine. That's good. No, all I'm saying, Ron, is that we haven't got the right to change the decision of the council, because on what we're going to do is recommend, and it's the council to decide whether they stay with their policy or suspend their standing orders and change their policy. Richard?
I think, Chair, that you've got a difficult, and we've all got a difficult situation here where we absolutely know we've got a deficit coming. And at some point in time, we have to make a recommendation to full council, and we have to highlight where, and I think this is what this committee is all about, is highlighting where we propose to make savings. And we have to definitely say to them, A is A and B is B. Which one do you want? And I think, Chair, that's where you're at. But we have to, as a committee, you know, come up with some savings, or else we're going to be in a deficit.
Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of the 3 services in the wellbeing and put it to the vote on whether we leave it in or take it out. Okay. So you can, taking the point you made, Ron, this is a recommendation to full council. This is not a decision we can take. It's a recommendation. So on that basis, the 10,800 counselling service, all those in favour of taking it out from the budget, those in favour? 2. Those against? 4. Abstaining? 1. That's
lost.
So that is left in.
Left in, yeah.
Right. The second one is swimming. The proposal that I'm making is that we remove £13,500 from the wellbeing budget for swimming. Those in favour? 1, 2,
5.
5. Those against? 2. That's carried. So we remove 13,500.
Well, you put forward, yeah?
Sorry?
So you're going to put forward to full council that you're going to remove it?
Councillor Wyman, just because you're new, I'll just point out that everything that this committee is deciding on the budget, they're all recommendations, because the only body that can set the budget is full council. So full council can change any of this. Whatever this committee recommends, I mean, they'll give it due weight, but whatever this committee recommends, they are just recommendations on the budget. They don't have delegated powers to set the budget or the precept.
You can imagine, Marie, the fun and games that there's going to be at full council. I mean, this small group of us, this small group of 7, have various views. Now, when you put the bigger number together, it's going to be even funnier.
I think
Right. The last one.
You're doing all right, Chair.
Sorry?
You're doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish. The last one is the unconfirmed £15,000. And I'm recommending that that is taken out because it is unconfirmed, it's unallocated. So those in favour of removing £15,000 unreserved. That's unanimous.
No. Did you vote in favour, Councillor Hayne?
No.
Wasn't unanimous. Sorry, Chair.
Right. Those against. My apologies, Ron.
Thank you.
I missed you.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I take back my last comment.
Right. Staff costs. The removal of one of the additional posts.
No, Chairman.
Yeah.
I don't think there is that £25,000 does not equate to a post. It's £25,000 out of the budget. You haven't identified a post that costs £25,000. It's £25,000 that you're recommending to be removed from the budget, which you supported at HR committee last week, and which was unanimously supported by the HR committee to go forward to full council. I mean, I'm not for a minute saying there isn't scope to reduce that budget. I'm just reminding you of the recommendations that as a committee you made at HR.
And I supported that recommendation. However, the condition of the budget, in my view, is serious enough for that to be reconsidered. As I do with well-being, it should be reconsidered. Now, whether the council accepts or rejects my proposal that I made in my notes was for the removal of one of the 2 additional posts.
Chairman, I'd just like to. This is a public meeting, and I think that we need to give proper scrutiny to such a discussion about organisational structure. And I would not want the wrong message to be going out that we take decisions on a whim with kind of any employee, and I think that they would be very worried. The management team have identified that we can get a £25,000 saving, which I guess is due to some phasing of any recruitment. We're unlikely to kind of recruit in time or whatever. I actually think that we should look at the £25,000 reduction, and if there is any kind of scope to look at organisational structure, that the HR committee have that conversation. You are a member of that committee, and we can obviously feed into that conversation, and then that is put to council. But I don't propose that we talk about identifying posts or anything at the moment, because we've not had the proper detailed conversation.
Right. Delia, you wanted to come in?
No, I'm happy that I was going to make much the same point. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, right. Yeah, okay. So on staff costs, a reduction of £25,000 in the staffing budget. Finished. Those in favour of reducing the budget by £25,000. That's unanimous. Right.
couple of more very easy staff budget items. Payroll
Yeah.
admin costs.
Admin costs, reduction of £200. Those in favour? Unanimous. Staff travel costs, reduction of £250. Those in favour? I've got my eye on you this time, Ron. I'm not going to miss you again. Portable appliance testing, reduction of £150. Those in favour? That's unanimous. General maintenance, £500. Those in
Chairman,
favour?
this is Peter.
No, sorry, this is an increase. Beg your pardon.
Okay.
An increase.
No, forget that. Yeah. Next one was world pay. I'm getting carried away here. World pay, again, an increase of £500. The next one, the one for
But
refreshment.
are you happy for those increases to go forward? They're based on year-to-date spending, and we've only increased them because we genuinely believe we will need that money. We won't be able to manage for the year without those increases.
No, I think that's a given. I think.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Now, refreshments, a reduction of £500. I'm not going to recommend that. I reckon that's
Staff tea and coffee.
yeah.
No, it's that's not in the staff budget. We pay for our own tea and coffee. The council does provide milk for us. No, that is refreshments for meetings, and we haven't spent anything this year because we haven't had any meetings to speak of. It's
I thought,
meetings and events. It's not in the
I
staff
thought-
budget. No.
I thought that was staff.
Oh no.
What do you mean say? Oh,
Anyway. Anyway.
well, that's ridiculous. Right. Well, well, if it's councillors, there definitely. Right. Those I recommend we remove the £500. Those in favour? I didn't see you, Ron.
No, I'm in favour of it.
Those against? Right. That's carried.
Yep.
Stationery. That was an error in the budget.
Yes, that was a typo. I put 8,000 instead of 8,000.
8,000 instead of 800. Don't know how it could happen.
All the people who scrutinised the budget and nobody spotted it.
I know I didn't.
No.
So, well, we're voting reducing the budget by £7,000. Those in favour? Unanimous. General insurance reducing by £1,000. Those in favour?
Carried.
Unanimous. Vehicle insurance.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yep.
What is the excess in the vehicle insurance?
I think it's 150.
So is there an opportunity to increase? Because I remember at the last meeting, Chairman, we made a decision to pay for repairs on the vehicle because we did not want to increase our insurance costs. But
Yep.
we might reduce our insurance costs by having a £1,000 or £1,500 excess on our vehicle, because I do believe that the cost of that were like nearly £2,000 for the repair, and we decided to pay for them. So it just makes no sense to have such a low excess, and it might significantly reduce the cost of our insurance.
I'll certainly look into that.
But as it sits at the moment, the recommendation that I'm proposing is a reduction of £500 on our premium. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Fuel is an increase because we've got an additional vehicle. Again, it's a budgetary requirement, but we'll vote on it anyway. Those in favour of increasing the fuel budget by 500? That's unanimous. Newton Lee's gas, reducing the bill by £1,000. Those in favour? Unanimous. Newton Lee's water, reducing by £1,000. Those in favour? Agreed. Unanimous. Equipment maintenance, reduction of £500. Those in favour? Unanimous. Security, reducing by £2,000. Those in favour? Health and safety visit, an increase of £200. Those in favour? Richard? Thank you. And the last one, market.
Well, the market's due to make a loss this year for the first year. And when you take into account the staff costs, as I say, that's an opportunity for you to review, but no proposal is being made. It's just being identified as an area that you could look at.
Right. We leave that one alone?
I would propose that, Chairman. I think before we went into lockdown, we were going to be trialling a vegan market, and I think there's a real scope to be doing some specialist markets, and we've not even given it an opportunity. And I think I'd really like to see whether we can work with that operator to have, you know, some special markets and to see if we can do something different. So I think we don't do anything with the market right now.
Okay. Those in favour? Well, I'll second that. We leave the market as it sits now. Those in favour of that? That's unanimous. Thank you. Right. That concludes the budget. Now, that, as far as I can see, Delia, that I don't have a clue, in all honesty, of where that leaves us in terms of our deficit on the budget. I'm
afraid I haven't been adding it up as we've gone along. So I've been trying to listen to the debate and just get the votes down.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So if we,
but as you've agreed to meet the entirety of the exceptional items, I think you will have made a reasonable reduction on the deficit with this, because in your original figures, I think the 26,900 was carried, and a reasonable amount of the 30,000 that you put forward was carried.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we also took £20,000 out of reserves for climate change and George Street. So
yeah,
that's also had a
those were additional items, and then Albert Street was reduced by 50%. So
yeah.
So I think
climate change initiative we reduced, didn't we? We took all that out.
Took it all out.
Yeah. Okay. But what is the date for the council meeting that's going to look at the budget? Is it 26? 26. So what will happen is that we'll put a spreadsheet together. Well, no, we'll come up with the list, and we will then the council will then make a decision.
Yeah, what I propose we'll do is I'll prepare version 5, which will incorporate all these changes that you've agreed, and the precept will be blank in that budget, and then you will need to, as a council, decide on the precept.
Well, the council wanted the precept to remain the same, didn't it?
That was that. Yes, there is, but there isn't a resolution to that effect. That's a general indication. So that will need to be confirmed on the 26th. And the reason we've needed to introduce an additional council meeting, an extraordinary council meeting next week, because there was so much business for the 26th. So what's been done is that anything with financial implications has been put on the 19th. Any financial implications that affect the budget has been put on the 19th, and then the 26th will be the final budget agreement. So on the 19th, there will be the opportunity when reviewing individual items to make recommendations towards the budget at that point, should you wish to do so.
Right. So the details will have to be presented to the next week's council meeting, so they know what they're looking at.
Yes, we can do that. We can make that available. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Chair,
Right. Sorry, Ethan. Yeah.
Chairman, I think Delia said that the precepts would be blank in the budget. I think it'd be really helpful if we could just understand what a 1% increase in precept would be calculated to, so that when we can do some of our own calculations, if we need to we can understand what we'd be looking at.
I'm happy to prepare whatever information you would like. So really, it's just a matter of you telling me what you want to have by way of information.
I would suggest like 1% increments up to 5%. I'm not saying that I'm proposing any of them, but if there are things left in, I think that the council need to what we shouldn't be doing is relying on reserves for services that have not been precepted before.
That would be helpful to everyone. Yes, can we do that, Delia?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Richard?
No, I was going to say exactly the same as Ethan. Could we have the breakdown, which is exactly what Ethan says anyway. So it's about understanding about the precept and seeing whether we can match whatever the final figures are of the savings compared to what we need to do to raise the precept to match our deficit.
Well, item 11 on the agenda, in fact, is to consider any further recommendations regarding the precept for the full financial year. So we're merely moving to that. So if we can put the budget as it sits with the reductions and so on, so we know what deficit we're dealing with, and then we can we know what we'll have the precept calculation, and then as Ethan has suggested, and I think we all agree that we'll have the precept increase from 1 to 5%, and we can then know what hopefully what the precept is likely to be. Is that agreed?
Yes, that's. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. So that's item 11.
Okay.
So that finishes that. Thank you very much for that, members. Now item 12. To consider repairs to the roof lights at Albert Street. And now, for some reason, I've got a blank sheet of paper, but so I haven't got any report.
Well, the report is on page 119.
That's my blank one.
I don't know why it's blank. Because it's in the pack and it just says restricted. But and then there's a quotation from Bailey Roofing that indicates that we need substantial repairs to roof lights. One of the windows has a completely rotten frame, and the other one may last a little bit longer. The quote from Bailey Roofing, which is the preferred quote we've received, is a total of £7,137, including VAT, so £5,947 to us. And the reason this is on the agenda in the first instance is because we're still waiting for another quote. We haven't had a third quote, but it's because I just wonder if, and especially in the light of previous conversations, do we want to be spending any more money on this building as a council, given that we don't have any security of tenure? If you remember last year, Milton Keynes Council, having declined to give us a lease and said they would only give us a limited license, because we know the toilet site is in quite a key position, and it may be that they've got their eyes on it for other reasons. So really what I wanted to bring to the council's attention is whether or not you want to, I mean, if we're going to keep the toilets open, it may be that really rotten window has just got to be repaired because it'll fall in, which I think it will, but it has the potential to do over the course of this winter if we have really bad weather. and you know, I wouldn't want it to be unsafe for any users, clearly. Do we want to spend money on this building?
No.
Richard?
Can I come? It's very hard to sort of like keep spending money on a building that's, one, not ours, two, the amount of vandalism that go on inside the toilets, antisocial behaviour, the amount of staff time that takes up the staff to go in there and fix, revamp and repair the toilets all the time. You know, it's just, the cost centre is just growing by the month or by the year. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's still not our building. But I've got concerns about the amount of money that we're spending on toilets.
Well, can I put a proposal forward that we don't spend the money on the roof light, and that we await the consultation, which hopefully will only take 6 months, and that hopefully the roof light will last 6 months, and we can then make a decision if we're going to continue with the toilet, we'll repair it, and if we're not, then we don't do it.
I'll second that
proposal. Eamon?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Oh, thank you. Right. Anyone else want to comment? Those in favour? Those against? Abstain? Two abstentions. That's carried indeed.
Thank you, Chair. Would it be beneficial? Would the committee like to instruct me to open discussions with Milton Keynes Council about their future plans for that site?
Good luck with that, I think.
Idea. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. See if we can get anything out of them. You know what they're up to.
I don't think that.
Because before long someone's going to come back with a planning application again for all that area, and Milton Keynes Council might decide to sell that bit of their land to these other people. So you don't know. It might be, we might spend all that money getting it done, and then they go and sell it under us. You know, and there's nothing we could do about it.
So
we're in a very weak position legally.
That's right. Yeah.
So do we ask the clerk to take it up on our behalf, Richard?
Can I just come in quickly? I think if we are going to go down the route as a town council, wouldn't it be best us start the process of the consultation as soon as possible?
Yes.
Imagine that we are talking about 6 months. We start that process now instead of, you know, trying to engage with Milton Keynes Council, because Milton Keynes Council will do what they want to do, and half the time they dismiss us as the council anyway. I don't see the point in wasting any time, considering we've got decisions to make. And if we are going to be making these decisions, then we start to get on with the consultation and find out exactly what our residents want from what they don't want, so that we can make informed decisions about the budget and what monies we're spending. And that's me.
Right. So are we agreed that we would like the clerk to get on, Delia to get on with that?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Can I say?
Yeah, go on, Eamon.
I think we ought to lead the way on this. Just let Milton Keynes Council know what we're doing. And if they've come up with any bright ideas or they want to catch up with it, then let them do it. But we should be leading the way. We're going to say we're going to put our consultation on it. But in our minds, we're going to close it down in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, can I just say that if the council's policy on community engagement and consultation is that we don't consult on things that we've already decided to do, because that would be completely unethical.
So I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that at all. I was talking about Milton Keynes Council, not the public.
But you were saying in our minds we've decided to close it down, kind of thing. I just want to correct any impression that might be being made to the public.
It went out to consultation, and of course the public, when it kept open, would have to keep it open. But
sorry, just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Right. So are we clear what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So we don't proceed with the repairs. Now, do we? Is it?
Is the proposal then for us to, as a council, proceed with the consultation and
yeah.
Well, that's already been decided. That's a recommendation to council that's already been approved, isn't
Yeah.
it? So the
Yeah.
issue, what I was asking about is, do you want me to begin informal discussions with Milton Keynes Council or not?
No,
I think that would be a good idea, Delia. See what you can get out of them. They may not tell you nothing, but I believe
Yeah.
that you might get something out of them. You never know.
We said we were going to do that just now. Yes, we're going to do
Yeah.
that. Aren't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the next two items are confidential, which is to receive a confidential report on the letting of 7476 Queensway and on the George Street Community Centre. Now, is it your wish we should exclude the public and press and go into private session? Those in favour, do I have a seconder? Thank you. Those in favour? Those in favour? Where's Eamon gone? Oh, anyway, it's carried. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Eamon. Right, so we're going to private session, Delia, if we may.
Okay, thank you. I'll stop the streaming now.
Thank you. Yeah.